Welcome. This is Scott Godley again, the director of P16. I very much appreciate your patience. I know that we've tried to make a change here at the 11th hour, and obviously it didn't work as well as we wanted to, but I think what's important for you all to know is that we will be recording this session, so it will be available to everybody at a later point in time. We're going to wait about 2 more minutes before we start up. Just to give you again a quick run through of the agenda, we will be starting with a session speaking of the Ask Online resource, which is a tremendous asset for students for tutoring purposes. We will then be shifting to a conversation about the library resources, and then we will conclude with a discussion of what are the best practices related to developing an online course or a hybrid-based course. So we will again be starting here in 1 minute. Again, I very much appreciate your patience. I know your time is valuable. We still will make sure to get you out of here before 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome again. This is Scott Godley, the director for P16. Again, we appreciate your patience. What we do ask you to do is, if you can, please mute your microphone. We will have 3 different presentations. Over the course of this session, we will allow for questions at the end of each session. Please make sure to expand your chat side menu so that you can type your question in there, and we will be sure to provide you feedback throughout the course of the session. This went very, very well yesterday, and so we really got a lot of positive feedback, so we hope you have the same experience today. And without further ado, we are going to get started.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Alex Kanakis, and I am the assistant to Deborah Hardwick, who is the manager of HCC Ask Online. Ask Online has been around since 2006. We are an integral part of the HCC community, and I want to talk a little bit about what our site is, where you can access it, and what resources we offer for your students. I'm here at the home page, and what you want to do is you want to go to click on information for students, and that's the very last tab, the very top link, and you will find us if you scroll down under the area called tutoring, and so we just click on that. And here we are at hccaskonline.net. This is a free, confidential, and convenient service for students to receive tutoring in not only English courses, but also any other courses in the HCC curriculum. So let's go ahead and click on that real quick. And this is our homepage. I'm going to walk you through a real quick demonstration of what our site encompasses. If you have some time later on, once you do get to this site, feel free to look at this very short 8-minute video on how to actually use Ask Online. It's very informative. We encourage all of our students to do that as well. And we also encourage you to access this site as a student would. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give you a special secret guest user ID and password. If you want to see what the site looks like, your username will be Peanut, and the password is going to be Butter. Yes, it's easy to remember. Okay. When a student first logs on, they are going to be starting here at our own homepage. We only have about 3 or 4 tabs that are really, shall we say, the meat of the entire site. And we also, of course, tell them how long the turnaround time usually is. Right now, we're running around 3 days for English tutoring. This is simply because of all the last-minute term papers that are being turned in right now. If you go to the Subjects tab here, you see all of the different courses that we offer assistance with. Again, besides ESOL, INRW, English 1301, 1302, Sophomore Lit, we also have assistance with Freshman Success, Creative and Technical Writing, all of the different STEM courses, including math, chemistry, physics, business, economics, technical writing, things like that, and also, of course, the humanities, government history, philosophy, etc. Right now, I'm going to show you a very quick and dirty way that the site works. And also to a little bit of background with regards to our tutoring. We hire at least 50, 60 tutors per year to assist us. They are all HCC credentialed, and in some instances, they are actual HCC faculty. The students can use this site free. All they need is their W number and their HCC email password, and they can come in. This is exactly what the student would see if they logged in. Each subject, let's say for example 1301, has 3 specific links. The first one is going to be the Ask Queue. This is where a student would upload a paper. Okay, and of course we advise them to read this before they send it. Hopefully they do. Here they will let us know what type of paper they have. Of course, they'll tell us who their professor is. And here in this dialog box, they will tell us exactly what they want us to do. Okay. We tutor papers, especially English papers, only in Word or rich text format. So we encourage them to upload their file using their own flash drive or their own hard drive or whatever as a Word document. If it's not, we will politely send it back to them and say, so sorry, we cannot tutor this type of paper. And then when you click submit, of course, it's going to go to us. Okay. Matter of fact, the student, let's say the Peanut student here, has 1 unread answer. This means that they've got some kind of response back from a tutor on a previous subject. Okay. The cool thing about HCC Ask Online is that this is all asynchronous tutoring. The student can upload a paper anytime, day or night. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even through the breaks. And the turnaround time, again, usually depends on what kind of traffic we have right now. for those students who are taking a non-English based course, let's say they're taking a government course and they want to have a paper reviewed on federalism, not only will they get a grammar tutor to look over spelling and punctuation, things like that, they're going to get a content tutor also. This person is going to have a degree in government or political science, and they will review the paper from a content perspective. And so again, we pretty much cover them both ways. Another area I want to focus on real quick are the FAQs. FAQs are frequently asked questions. What these are downloadable handouts that the student can use, and of course the instructor can use as well, in order to assist the student in areas such as how to write about drama as literature, how do you read a poem, how do you write a film review, what are the elements of literary criticism. And please feel free to go in and download any of these documents. You can just right-click them and save them to your hard drive. These are all here to assist the student, and they're also a wonderful resource repository for instructors as well. Speaking of which, we have a third link called resources. These are all links. These have all been carefully vetted websites that will assist students in things such as plagiarism, how to generate a citation in APA, MLA, or Chicago format, how to document a paper. Okay, and again, these have all been vetted. You're not going to go to some weird site that is going to raise up your firewall. And again, these are here to help the student. We don't rewrite student papers. We don't correct them per se. We point out areas that can be improved. This way you can be assured that the student is actually getting, is actually going to be giving you their own work and not something that's been ghostwritten. Okay. We'd be more than happy to help you out in terms of doing an orientation for your class, coming in and showing students a hands-on way how to operate Ask Online if you wish. In order to contact us, simply, let me log out here first. Simply click here where it says email us at hccsaskonline.net. This way you can contact Deborah Hardwick, who is my boss. You can use this to request not only an orientation, but also if you want to have read-only access. Read-only access for professors is terrific. It allows them to actually see what the students are doing with their homework, with their written assignments, and it's a way to keep track of them. In fact, I want to show you real quick, and I'm going to do this very quickly and then pass it over to our next presenter. I want to show you sort of an idea of what the tutoring process looks like from a tutor's perspective. Okay. I'm going to pick up a philosophy paper here real quick. Okay. Here's the note that the student had sent us. This is comparing and contrasting philosophy and Picasso's paintings. Here was the English tutor, or the philosophy tutor's. Here was the philosophy tutor's copy. Let's see if I can get it to open. There we go. Notice what the tutor is pointing out. They're providing careful constructive criticism about how to correctly answer the question. They ask the student whether or not they could insert something here that would actually benefit the paper. Okay, here's what the English tutor provided, and she also uploaded some helpful handouts addressing certain areas of the paper that the student was particularly having problems with. Okay. Notice, too, that she says that not all your grammar errors are marked, and that, remember, your professor is the final authority on your assignment. We let the student know this, and that what we're telling them really is not gospel. If it conflicts with what the professor is saying, definitely go with what the professor says. And also, too, here she addresses different areas of the paper that the student should be looking at. Okay? Oh, yeah, good. Sorry. Sorry about that. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. I was just told that y'all couldn't see this. So here's what the student is seeing from the grammar and the English professor, discussing the areas that the student needs to work on. Okay. Okay. Right now, I'm open to any kind of questions you might have. Again, we are here not only to help students, but also to help instructors. We want to make your load as easy as possible. If you want to contact us for either an in-class orientation or if you want read-only access, just click here, and my manager's name is Deborah Hardwick, and she would be more than happy to assist you with this. Okay, I'll go ahead and turn this over now to our next presenter. Question, is there an example for chemistry? Yes, a lot of times students will ask us about a formula or they will ask us about how to write a lab report. We can assist them with that. As far as giving them specific answers, we don't do that. We may work through a similar problem to show the student exactly how to go about the process step by step. Right now, I don't have an example for chemistry. Feel free to email us, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with that. As long as the students are enrolled in HCC and have a W number, even if they are on dual credit, we can do that. They can use it as long as they've got a W number and a valid HCC email password. We don't get a lot of papers for anatomy and physiology. Normally, we would probably mark that under writing for other assignments. We don't have a dedicated queue for those. Again, the demand is not there. We would love it if people would create the demand, but again, a lot of our tutoring is based on pretty much simple supply and demand. If there's a lot of students that are doing performing arts or they're doing creative writing, we will go ahead and dedicate a queue for that. Right now, for anatomy and physiology, it's just like other areas such as biology and anthropology. We don't get a lot of demand for those. We can, of course, for any paper of any topic, tutor it for English, for spelling, grammar, punctuation. So even though there may not be a content person looking at it, you can rest assured that there will be an English tutor looking at it. Yes, actually, in the English areas, if you go to either the FAQs or to the resources link in any of the English areas, whether it's ESOL or 1301 or sophomore lit, you will definitely find areas for speech writing and outlining. We used to have a speech queue. Unfortunately, it just really did not take off. But we'd be more than happy to assist in someone in a speech class putting together and outlining a speech. I do believe we have some FAQs in the English sections that have that. Okay, the easiest way to get to this page either is to type in this address, hccs.askonline.net, into your browser, or you can access it through the home page. Let me go ahead and open that real quick. Okay, to access it through the home page, go to Information for Students. Scroll down the left side and go to Tutoring. And then here we are. Okay, and if you want to schedule an orientation for next semester, please contact Deborah Hardwick. Again, you can find her, you can contact her right here on the home page before you even log in. And also, too, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I apologize if I took on a little bit longer than necessary. I did want to cover all of these areas, and now I will be turning it over back to Scott.
Thank you very much, Alex. We're going to transition now to talking about library resources, and the presenter is ready to go.
Hold on, let me get settled. Hi, this is Bill Horde. Just a moment, I'm going to get set up here. I think. Okay, I think we're ready now. As I said, I'm Bill Horde. I'm the Director of Libraries for the libraries in Missouri City, Stafford, and West Loop in the southwest part of HCC. The purpose of my presentation is just to introduce and make accessible to you a lot of the resources and services that the library provides for students and faculty. The PowerPoint that I'm using now is available here in GoTo Meeting, so you can download it for your own use later. It will have some names and phone numbers that you may want to hold on to. But I'll also show you a little later in the presentation. After the PowerPoint, we'll try to go live to the library website, and I'll show you where to find all those names and addresses and phone numbers there. The library's mission is to serve the teaching and learning needs of faculty and students, and to do that well, we need your help. Telling us, did we help you? What worked for you or didn't work for you? In which circumstances? So again, that's another reason for you to have our phone numbers and addresses so you can contact us at any time to ask us questions so we can troubleshoot issues for you. This is a photo of the HCC Library website. It's linked from the HCC site. You can see the menu at the top, libraries. That menu is the same as on the HCC page. That will bring you to this page. The URL for this page is library.hccs.edu. The purpose of our website is to put online as much as we can all of our resources and services. So we really are trying all the time to get everything we do online in one form or another. We do have 14 physical libraries around the HCC district. Some of these, many of these are libraries with books. A few of them are what we call electronic resource centers, facilities without books, but with computer access, a librarian on staff to help and so forth. This listing of the libraries shows their addresses, phone numbers, and hours when they're open. The typical schedule throughout our libraries is 7:30 to 9, Monday through Thursday, and then hours on Friday and Saturday differ or vary. Currently, we only have one library open on Sunday, although that will be changing sometime in the next 6 months or so. We'll have more libraries open on Sundays. One of the most important things I want to talk about is the library barcode. This is the means we use to make resources that have to be restricted because of contracts accessible to all students and faculty, no matter where they are, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, as long as you're employed at HCC or as long as your students are enrolled. Each student, when they enroll in classes, receives a library barcode. They can discover that, find that barcode either on the back of an HCC student ID, or even if you don't have a student ID, it's in the PeopleSoft student system under the link for demographic data. That demographic data link is at the bottom of the main student page in PeopleSoft. And those student barcodes are good for as long as the student is enrolled. For faculty, it's a little more complicated. Faculty can certainly have a library barcode. If you have a faculty, HCC faculty ID, your library barcode is on the back of that. However, even that barcode may not be activated until you either go into a library or use the form that the slide shows at the bottom. This is on our library website, and I'll show you where to find it on that site. You can use the form for two things. You can use it to get a barcode assigned to you, and it will be activated, or if you already have a barcode, to make sure that your barcode is activated. You can do those two things with the form. This is a listing of our faculty. Throughout our libraries, we have a number of part-time and full-time librarians, as well as many good library assistants helping out. And our staffing pattern is typically one professional librarian on duty at least any time the library is open. So we have professionals there, and you can see this page, which is this is a photo of our page on our website. Again, gives the librarians, the campuses where they're located, their phone numbers and email addresses. Those librarians provide a number of services in addition to building library collections, for example. They provide a number of direct services to students and faculty. For example, reference. We take reference questions anytime we're open through a variety of ways, through live chat, through email, by phone, by text, or of course in person if you come into a library. We also provide a service that's halfway between reference and instruction, in a sense, research consultations. So for students who have a research assignment and they're just not sure how to get started, they don't understand what they're supposed to be doing with the assignment, or how to start researching in the library, we can help them focus on the kinds of sources they need, how to find those sources, and how to cite those sources properly. So that's for those students who need that extra help. We provide that, of course. We provide a lot of one-on-one instruction, and consultation is a form of that, one-on-one instruction on how to use our variety of sources. We also have library instruction online in the forms of tutorials. So in the library, but before I get to the online tutorials, we also have, you can bring your class, set up an instruction session just for your class if you're going to have a research assignment. So you could arrange that, to bring your class to an HCC campus. All of our libraries have computer classrooms with a computer for every student, so that they get lots of hands-on work and we can see that they've understood how to find the sources. But if you can't make it into an HCC library, talk to us and we can arrange to meet you at your location, at your school. There are several ways you could contact us. One, by email, of course, by phone, and we even have a form on our website for you to fill out and complete, and that's sent to us so that we'll contact you to confirm the time for your instruction session. As I said before, we have online tutorials. The best one, perhaps, for most people is the one called Begin Research. This is a number of modules that covers library resources and services similar to what I'm doing, but focused on doing research and for a student's perspective. One distinction about this tutorial is that it includes a gradable quiz that sends the score for the quiz to the student and to you if they've given us your email address. Okay, this is our library catalog just a picture of our library catalog page, and you can see that it includes all of the books that we have in all of our different libraries. For most of those books, it includes, for many of those books, it includes a table of contents so that the books are searchable at that level. So students or faculty can find chapters that are relevant to what they're searching for. The library catalog also includes all of our ebooks. We have about 170,000 of those now, and it includes a number of streaming videos that have been selected and curated to correspond to classes and courses that are taught here at HCC. Most of our ebooks and the streaming videos we have are available to us through subscription databases. We have about 150 of those subscriptions. They provide millions of resources, including millions of magazine and journal articles, as well as the ebooks and the streaming videos that I mentioned. As you can see from this picture, that part of our website is organized alphabetically A to Z. We've also selected some databases and put them in categories by subject, for instance, literary criticism, history, accounting, and by format, newspapers, ebooks, streaming media, etc. We also try to give information to students and help them learn how to cite their sources properly. So we haven't discovered the perfect tool for this yet. It's very hard for students, as you know. But we had a very good one, but the publisher took it down in the summer. And so we've tried to either select some that are available elsewhere on the internet or create some of our own to help students know how to use APA style, MLA style, and Chicago style through examples and instructions. The librarians have also created a number of guides to research. We call them LibGuides, that's the trade name, on different academic disciplines, different centers of excellence within HCC, as well as other topics. For instance, the What is Plagiarism LibGuide that we've created is one of our most popular ones. It includes videos and quizzes to help students recognize and avoid plagiarism. This is the administrative team for the libraries with their phone numbers, and we're all eager to talk to people who have benefited from our services, as well as who have suggestions for how we can improve. But in addition to these people, make sure you get to know the library faculty near you at your campus, at the campus library that's near you, so that they will know who you are and what your needs are as well. They do a lot of work with faculty. Okay, I'm going to try to switch over here to the website, if you'll give me a second. Okay, here we are at the HCC website. The link to the library website is at the top. I'm going to click on Libraries, and there we are at the library website. What I want to show you is how to find your way, a little bit of how to find your way around the site, focusing on the menus that we have, especially so you know where to find those things that I mentioned earlier. The menu bar at the top is reproduced from the HCC main page, so that's the same. Our information starts in this row of menus. Here's Search and Find, where you'll find a link to the database area of our website, a link to our library catalog, a link to our LibGuides, as well as some other things. I'm going to say a little about Discovery Encore a little later. The Research and Writing tab has the Begin Research tutorial that I mentioned to you, as well as link to our style guides on MLA, APA, and Chicago, and links to some plagiarism information. About Us is where you can find the names and addresses and phone numbers for library faculty. These are full-time library faculty, as well as our locations and hours. There, it's an alphabetical list, obviously, of all of our libraries. And there's other information here, but those are the main things under that tab at this time. Under Ask a Librarian is where you find the page I showed you about this. Notice that we do have, there's a form for emailing. We also have here a database of questions and answers. So that's a place where people can search to find some questions that have already been answered. Under Library Information 4, similar to the HCC page, the one I want to focus on here is faculty, because, oops, I hope that doesn't happen. Let me go back. Let me try. I'm going to, on this top here, if you click on HCC, that'll take the HCC page. If you click on Libraries, that'll take you to the library page. I bet there's a bad link in there somewhere that we need to fix. Okay. I wanted to focus on this page because this is where you'll find access to the form for requesting library instruction. Click on this. Then here's Schedule Today, these forms, and for each campus, there's information about the library as well as an orientation request. And you can specify a librarian if you prefer, fill in the form, what you want covered. The more information you can give us about what your students need, the better we can meet those needs. So, and send that to us, and then we'll get that and set up your orientation. Also, at the bottom of this page, or farther down, this is the link to the form to troubleshoot, to get your barcode, activated, or to troubleshoot any problems you have with our page or accessing anything on our page. Okay, I want to focus, and then farther down, there's another menu here with locations and hours. We talked about it. Ask a Librarian, that's the chat. You'll also notice on this page, there's a chat widget on the right-hand side. You can see chat is offline right now. We hope to extend the hours to that to the full hours that any library is open. So that again might happen in the next 6 months or so, we hope. Ask a Librarian, begin research, the tutorial we talked about. This login renew can help you log into your library account. That's one thing you can do with your name, your library barcode, your name, notice first name, space, last name, and your library barcode, and that would log you into your library account. This is a good place to test your barcode to see if it's actually working properly. I'll say more about how you use the barcode in a second. And then there's more here. I want to talk about briefly about using the the Discovery Encore. I think we're getting very short on time, though. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The clock on the computer I'm looking at is off. Sorry, I almost panicked because it says 20 minutes later than it is. Okay, if we talk about Encore Discovery, just quickly, this is a tool to help you find things if you don't know exactly where they are in our catalog or databases. We have 150 databases. We have a library catalog, and if you don't know where to find information, this search can help you get started. So when you do that search, it searches the library catalog and a number of the databases, not all of them, and it features books and a videotape there, more books, and then right in the middle of this first page, there's a few articles listed, usually 3. If you're interested in books, you'll notice this one is at Codwell and another campus. If you click on this, you can request the book. Codwell, Northline, check shelf means it's in the library. You can click on request. If you click on request, it'll ask you for your name and your library barcode to request the book. So that's one use of the library barcode. If you want articles, you can click on articles and it'll show more than those three. It'll show all. It indicates if it has the full text, in what form. There are some icons here. You can add things to a cart here in Encore. Generally, it's better in many ways to go to the database, find the article, either HTML, PDF in this case. You can see the article, you can read it online, but also most of our databases will have a set of tools over here where you can click on, in this case, the envelope, and then you're able to say, I'm citing this in MLA style, that's the style I'm using. Put in your email address, subject is optional, click send, and it'll send you the complete article along with the draft MLA citation. Now these are machine generated, so occasionally there's mistakes, so it's a good idea to always tell your students, make sure that's correct if you can. Look for errors. This is a good way to do some preliminary research just to identify a number of articles, and then I like to encourage students to go back later and pick out the ones that serve their purposes. I actually learned that part of that partly from Deborah Hardwick, who I used to work with a lot teaching her classes. So that's Encore. There's that whole list of articles. I'm going to go back to the library homepage. Just to briefly, as the last thing, show you our database organization. This is that page I mentioned, A to W, in fact. Databases by subject, history, literary criticism, other kinds of things. By format, newspapers, books and ebooks, etc. The main thing here is, notice this HCC icon. If you're on an HCC campus, in the library or in any other lab or anything, and you click on this link, it's going to connect you directly to the database. Like I am now, I'm at the HCC, an HCC location. If you're off campus, probably at your schools or at home, you have internet access. If you click on this link, then this indicates that it will ask you to log in using your name and your library barcode. This one's free. We have a few free sources in here, but you can see a lot of these on this page are subscription sources with this icon. So if you're off campus, off of an HCC campus, you'll have to use the name and barcode to get into that database. Any questions? Yeah, you can check if you want to know if a HCC has a specific journal. What you do is go to the library catalog, do the journal search, type in the name of your journal. It will tell you that there's a lot of journals that just have the word science in them, but here's, and I think this is the one right here, AAAS, and it tells you we have it in paper form and online, and you can see this tells you we have science in a lot of databases up through December. Well, let's see. This full text ends doesn't look very good to me. I'm not so sure that it's correct, but that's how it works. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bill. Okay, we have our last presenter, and we'll get started with that because, again, I promised you all we would be out of here before 5, but we've saved the really impressive presentation here about best practices related to developing an effective online course. And here we go.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Shane Dohorny with tips for effective learner-centered course shell. We're presenting from the Institute for Instructional Engagement and Development, formerly known as CTLE. And give me just a second while I get my screen ready. All right, thank you. Okay, so the strategic plan does include the idea that students and faculty will be using effective teaching and learning strategies. You can access that information from the 2012 strategic plan. We are developing a new strategic plan. I think it's coming out next year, so you can see a lot of new information there. You can get that information from hcc.edu. The first part that you need to know is that you need to set a sound educational goal. Think about why you're creating your online course shell. If you're using it for blended or hybrid courses, you still need to consider what your learners or your audience is going to need. What is it that they need from the experience? You'll really like to use an needs assessment, and it's going to be based on meaningful standards-based content as well as the student's personal learning styles. It's a good idea to create community by using discussion boards that are dedicated to collaborating with peers on difficult tasks. This relieves some of the burden on an instructor by allowing students to respond to questions about content. Students learn to correspond with each other for assistance. This can be difficult in an online environment, but it's extremely helpful to provide forums and blogs and discussion boards to encourage learners to connect with others in class. Allow your students to relate their own stories and challenges to offer the other learners a chance to establish relevance from someone other than you. You can evaluate students' abilities as they relate to online learning. What are their needs with regard to computer training and software and access? And go ahead and help them understand the critical importance of class participation. They need timely discussion responses and adherence to project deadlines. And it's important to learn how to be a self-starter. You can provide timely feedback to their questions when emails are received from your students. So you should be made aware that students need time. They'll need to give you time to respond to their questions and concerns at the beginning of the semester. Let them know that then. Keep your work short and organized. The standard seems to be that moving online will reduce your adjustment time by approximately 25%. So that usually results from objectively analyzing your content and editing what the learner doesn't need to know. So keep your instructions and narration direct and succinct. It'll streamline your delivery. Keeping the content relevant and shorter is better. As an educator, your first inclination might be to teach everything, which leads to e-learning that features lots of click next to continue instructions. So instead, design a streamlined version of your course with peripheral content available through web links to instructional resources. You'll be surprised how many learners will access these and retain more than they would otherwise. Each section of the course should include the same structure. Be consistent. For example, a required reading, an activity, a journal entry, and participation in online discussions. You can balance the workload required. Sorry, I just realized I jumped ahead. Here we go. You can balance the workload required of participants across all sessions. Each unit or module should contain an equal amount of activity. Let each session build on the previous one. Next, you need to allow for practice. Give students time to implement meaningful interaction to about 5 to 8 screens. Even if this is only questions on the previous topic, make sure to create opportunities for the learner to practice applying the concepts. Allow learners to engage in short skill development activities after each session to practice their new skills. For web-enhanced or blended classes, creating an online opportunity to revisit concepts or practice material will enhance the student learning experience, and it contributes to retention. You'll want to include feedback. It's more than just post-assignment commentary. So when it's employed correctly, feedback can impact students on a variety of levels. It helps direct what they should do with their time, how they should feel about their efforts, whether their motivation level is appropriate, and whether they're meeting expectations. Because feedback serves so many purposes in the online classroom, it's important for instructors to consider how feedback is provided, when it's offered, how it's focused or targeted, and what's considered in the feedback. Best practices address 3 key elements. You have timing, target, and nature. It is important for instructors to be deliberate about all 3 factors and use care when determining when to deliver content, when to deliver feedback, what the feedback should say, and what the feedback is meant to accomplish. Feedback needs to be consistent and specific. First, it must be timely if it's to be effective. This means it's consistent, immediate, ongoing, incremental, and formative. Feedback must also be targeted. It should be communicated directly to the learner and specific to the task at hand. Feedback should address effort and whether the student appropriately processed the task. Targeted feedback, however, does not have to be direct communication between the instructor and one student. It can be peer-based, individual, or a group. Instructors should consider the nature of their feedback. It should be corrective, specifically identify where, if at all, students veered off the course. It should be concrete so students understand which portion of the task they completed incorrectly or which course material they failed to understand. Feedback should reference assignment criteria so that it appears founded and appropriate. It should be useful and actionable and offer suggestions on how to redress problems and make improvements in the next assignment. To this point, instructors should take care to complement what students do well and to sandwich criticism in more positive feedback. When feedback is used effectively, it becomes a tool that develops understanding, motivation, engagement, and interpersonal connections. It also helps develop community between instructor and students, as well as students to students. Discussion and collaborative exercises are the most overlooked facets of e-learning. Reflection is the process where the learner carefully considers the content and decides how to apply it. This can be accomplished by crafting discussion board questions rather than answers. Yeah, let them write the questions. Refrain from speaking in response to every student comment. Leave space to students to talk to one another. Have your learning community come up with the answers after they've had time to reflect on their response. Hold back both positive and constructive feedback. Allow students to talk to one another. Then you can encourage students to build on one another's thinking. Keep students on topic by redirecting the discussion or posing a new, more focused question. Hey, you can always add multimedia. They love it. Video clips and other multimedia are marvelous teaching tools, but if not used wisely, they can be a source of frustration for both participants and you as a facilitator. Select a common, readily available platform for multimedia delivery. Give links to free downloads for their media players. Inform students at the beginning of the course of any need to download or update software and suggest that they practice. consider selecting videos, which also have transcripts for students who may use screen readers. Okay, now you've got to avoid copyright violations. Neither publications nor a notice of any kind is required to protect published works in the electronic medium. Fair use policy suggests that students, faculty, and staff may incorporate others' works into the multimedia work and display and perform a multimedia work in connection with or creation of a class assignment, the curriculum materials, instruction, examinations, student portfolios, and even professional symposiums. So be conservative, use only small amounts of others' work, and don't make unnecessary copies of multimedia work. Make sure that you adapt to learning styles. We know that different learners have different learning styles: visual, oral, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic, etc. Try to accommodate these through the instruction. Design visuals or animations that directly reinforce the ideas you're trying to communicate. Use voiceover narration along with text captioning to accommodate audio learners. Incorporate games and activities that will engage tactile learners. Scenario-based learning allows the school teacher to do less talking. Most of us had a school teacher who told the most interesting stories, and I'll bet looking back, that's what you remember rather than what was on the test. Don't lose that. Use scenario-based instruction to create a story of context for the content. Use scenario-based instruction in terms of situations that would exist that would require the learner to remember the content. Create those situations in your electronic learning. Make all your activities meaningful. Be a learning community. A group learning experience in an online learning environment, and develop activities that foster relationships between your participants. Each activity or task, such as a reading assignment or viewing a video, taking an online survey, etc., should be assessed in some manner or relate to an online discussion or a journal entry. So one of the most difficult aspects of building the course is knowing when enough is enough. So do all the activities yourself and time how long it takes you, and then double that to allow students enough time. So I know I went through this pretty quickly, but thank you. And for more information, you can visit the virtual faculty lounge at hccs.edu/VFL. Okay, so that's all. Back to Scott. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask if you wanted to ask any questions. You can just ask your questions in the chat box. And what time is it? It's 4:50. Yeah. All right. So here's Scott. Okay, so a lot of times in online discussions, we'll use discussion boards or forums. If you use the Eagle Online for your shell, it does automatically have forums there for you to simply click and include all kinds of activities for your students to answer questions or build their own questions. Let's see here. Okay. If you'd like more information about how to use your online discussions in your shells, give us a call or contact us through the VFL. There's a link there that you can access. Click it and someone will contact you about developing your online discussions.
Well, thank you, everybody. We promised you we'd get you out of here before 5. I hope you really enjoyed this first experience. We do plan on continuing to offer professional development opportunities for dual credit instructors and supportive team members throughout the spring semester. We will be posting both today's session as well as Tuesday's session online. What we're looking at doing is creating a YouTube channel for dual credit, and we will also we have some ideas in mind as far as what else we can post there. For example, providing a video presentation of how to complete the HCC application process for your students. We know as a team we try to do that, but if in the event we miss a student here or there, for that to be a resource for you as well. So with that, I just want to leave you all. Be safe. Hope you can navigate the traffic safely home, and thank you again for joining us.